Lakshmi. So today in this video, we are going to see about Type 3 JDBC driver. Let's start the video. The agenda of this video is given here. First thing, we'll be discussing the introduction, then use of JDBC, types of JDBC drivers, steps to use JDBC, and lastly, we'll be seeing code to connect to database using Type 3 driver. First, let me give you an introduction about JDBC. JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity. As the name says, Java Database Connectivity is used to connect to the database and execute queries from Java. We have a special connectivity in Java to connect to the database and execute our own queries and retrieve the data from a given database, that is JDBC. It provides methods for querying and updating data in a database. JDBC provides methods for querying or updating data in a database. That's about JDBC. Why do we use JDBC? Before JDBC, we use ODBC. ODBC was used for database connections, but it was written in C and was platform dependent. It it was not able to use in every platform. So they have created JDBC so that it is platform independent and works on every platform. And it is written in Java, so we won't be getting any issues that are related to platform. The use of JDBCs are mentioned here. It is used for CRUD operations, that is create, read, update, and delete operations. It is used to execute SQL queries and in web applications. In web application, we will be having lots and lots of data. We'll be getting, for example, if you take e-commerce site, we'll be having many users, we'll be having many products. So for storing all this data, we can use JDBC and connect them to web applications so that it would be easy for us. And for ETL processing, that is extract, transform, and load data between these databases, we use JDBC. That's the uses of JDBC. Next, we are going to see about types of JDBC drivers. There are four types of JDBC drivers: Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, and Type 4. First one is JDBC ODBC bridge driver. The second one is native API driver. The third one is network protocol driver. And the fourth one is the thin driver. Among these four, we mostly use the thin driver. Let us see one by one what are the pros and cons of each of the driver. The first driver is JDBC ODBC bridge driver. It uses ODBC in the middle to convert the JDBC queries to convert the ODBC driver in ODBC statements into JDBC. We use ODBC driver to connect to the database. So as the name suggests, ODBC acts as a bridge between JDBC and the database. The example uses scon.jdbc.odbc.jdbc ODBC driver. So here we are using ODBC as a bridge between the JDBC and the database. The pros of this driver are it is very easy to use, and cons are it is dependent on ODBC and it is less portable. As we have discussed, JDBC should be platform independent, but if we use the JDBC ODBC bridge driver, it is less portable compared to other three drivers. Here there is a image of JDBC architecture diagram of JDBC ODBC bridge driver. There's a JDBC API, and here this is the database. In between, we have JDBC ODBC bridge driver. This is the diagram of the first Type 1 driver. The next is Type 2 native API driver. In this driver, it uses client-side libraries of the database to connect from JDBC to database. So the libraries which are there in the client side are used in this particular driver. The example usage is given here: Oracle jdbc.driver.oracle driver. And the pros of this Type 2 driver are it is faster than Type 1 And the cons are platform dependent. And this is also platform dependent. Here is the figure of native API driver. Here's a JDBC API, and here's the database. And between we have native API driver. It uses the client-side libraries. This is the type 2 driver, that is native API driver. And the type 3 is native protocol driver. In this video, we are going to see how to connect to type 3 driver. It uses a middleware to communicate between the database. As type 2 driver uses the client-side libraries, it would be not good and it is platform dependent too. So if we wanna examine this issue, we use middlewares and connect to the drivers and JDBC. Here's the example usage. com.mydriver.network driver. Here we use a middleware to connect to the database. The pros of this driver are no client-side libraries are required and it is highly portable. And the cons are middlewares add overhead. As we use middlewares, it would add more overhead for connecting the JDBC and the database. Here's the diagram of type 3 network protocol driver. Here's the JDBC API. We have network protocol driver, and in the middle, in the server side, we have middleware to connect to the database. In the client side, we only get the connection. And the issue that we are facing in type 2 driver, that is that using client side libraries, is uh, removed here. And the type 4 is the thin driver, which we are using, which we use mostly. It directly converts JDBC calls to a database specific calls. So that's why we mostly use thin driver for connecting the JDBC and the database. Example usage is given here, com.mysql.cj or JDBC.driver. And the pros of this thin driver are highly portable and it gives the best performance. And the cons are it is database specific. This is about the types of JDBC drivers. Next, we are going to see steps to connect to the database. The first step to connect to JDBC, Java Database Connectivity, is register the driver class. Here we register what type of driver we are using. And the second one is create a connection object. We create an object for making a connection. And the third one is create a statement object. The fourth step is execute a particular query, example, select, insert, etc. And the fourth step is to close the connection object. These are the steps that we use to connect to the JDBC. Now let's see the code of connecting type 3 JDBC driver. As I previously said, type 3 JDBC driver uses middlewares to connect to the database. That is network protocol driver uses the middlewares. Here the middlewares that we use is IDS server. We should install this IDS server so that it can act as a middleware between the database and the JDBC and converts all the queries in the server side, not in the client side. It directly converts in the server side itself. Let's see the code now. Let me create a Java. For JDBC, the package that we need to import must is SQL, java.sql. So let me import that package, java.sql. We are going to import all the classes. We can import java.and for any exceptions. Import java.star for input output operations. And import your input also. So I have just imported the packages that are going to be necessary. The main package here is java.sql. Let me create a class. Start a class. There is 5, 5, 3, 3. And in this, there's a main method. Now we will start as we have discussed like other 5 steps to connect to the JDBC driver. Let me execute all the 5 steps. Before writing these 5 steps, let me put these 5 steps in a try catch block so that we can easily rectify the exceptions if there are any. Try and catch exceptions, please. Once another victim and we do exception that is sorry. And in the try block, we are going to execute all the 5 steps that I previously said. The step one is we load the driver or register the driver. For that, we are going to give the class name. Here we are using IDS server as the middleware. So this would be the class name for connecting to this IDS server. This is the class name for connecting to the IDS server. That's the step one. And in the step two, it is creating connection. Let me just copy this. Creating connection object. We do this by importing the driver management class. Connection on is the driver manager dot get connection. And the URL for this type 3 JDBC driver is like this: JDBC colon IDS is a middleware that we use, and local host. This IDS server works on the local host, well, the port 12 and on TS. And for my server, the ESM is just ESM type 3. This is the URL. And now let me list the username of the JDBC with the system and my password connecting to the building. Here we are getting the connection to our JDBC database. Driver manager dot get connection. This is the URL. JDBC colon IDS colon localhost 12 con DSM is equal to sys DSM type 3. This is the URL and system is my username and this is my password. And the third step is to create statement object. Let me do that. Step 3, create statement object. For that, I include statement system is equal to con dot create statement. That's the step 3. And the step 4 is execute query. Step 4, executing query. We do that like this. Result set rs is equal to statement dot execute query. Let me give a simple query that selects the rows and columns from a particular table. Select star from. Let me give a table name, which goes like this. User two. I'll create this table in my command prompt and show you. User two is here. And for printing this views file, system of order println rs dot. This depends on the table that we create. For user two, I'm going to create the columns as ID, name, and marks. The ID is of int data type, name is of string, varchar, and marks is again of int data type. So The first one is RSID, rs dot get in of one, no, sorry, plus space rs dot get string of two plus space and plus rs dot get in of three. This is how we print the values that we have selected from the user view table. This is step 4. And the last step is closing the connection. Let me do that. Step 5, closing connection. Download, close. These are the 5 steps. Step 1 is, so now let me set the class part is equal to C IDS server classes and that JDK13 driver dot jar. I'm going to set the class path and compile the code. Java C type 3 dot Java. It's compile and it's remember type C. Type C for type C. The first step is loading the driver. Here we gave to load the driver. Second step is create connection. The third step is create statement object. The fourth step is to execute the query. In the table, we have inserted these two rows, so we got these two rows. And the fifth step is closing the connection. So this is about connecting type 3 driver. Thank you.